Hey everyone, Revtrocity here, and I've wanted to make this video for a while now, considering people have always wondered how I make saying a lot of things. But then again, waiting a while to make a video has become something of a Revtrocity tradition as of late. So I feel like as punishment for making you wait so long for these saying a lot of things videos, that I need to give you my Krabby Patty secret formula. I'm going to show you how I, Revtrocity, make these saying a lot of things videos. Now, if you want to make your own saying a lot of things videos, which I'm completely fine with, you don't have to follow this exact structure. This is just how I've been running my operation the entire time. If you want to take any pointers from it, go right ahead, but you do you. I'm just showing you my method. So in this video, I'm going to outline choosing the character, I'm going to talk about getting suggestions, recording the video, and editing it all together. So, hope you enjoy.
Part 1! Who do I voice?
So obviously, you can choose to do whatever character you feel comfortable with, but I don't choose to go with just any character, if that makes sense. There's a reason I've stuck around in Undertale and Deltarune, because these characters don't typically have canonical voices. They have fan canon voices, but they don't have an official voice, which makes them up to anyone's guess what they sound like. If they do have an official voice, I try to stick as close to the timbre as possible and impersonate them, but for the most part, I tend to stick with characters that have no canonical voice. And also with these characters, I need to perform them in a voice that I can do for long periods of time. For example, Sans a skeleton. I can do this all day. I feel very comfortable here.
But if I was to speak like Rouse all the way up here, it gets very taxing on my voice very fast.
Because the way I do it is I record in bulk and I record a bunch of suggestions at one time. So not only do I need this voice to be maintained for long periods of time, it needs to be maintained with like extreme screaming, going up high, going down low. It needs to be flexible enough, but also be able to be maintained for long periods of time. And when I choose that character, I make an announcement video. I used to do community posts when I did saying a lot of things as Jevil, but I ran into a problem. When you go about it through community posts, you can only see down to the first 500 comments, and then it'll stop showing you new suggestions. Whereas with a video, I have yet to reach that problem at all, and I can just keep looking endlessly through the comments section. Not only that, but it also gives people a preview into the voice. And the way I've been doing it is I make it like a little fun announcement. Like I've had this ongoing story for a while now. This is just my own personal touch to the saying a lot of things formula. You can announce it however you want. This is just my fun little way of like presenting who's next.
Part 2! Looking at your beautiful suggestions!
And now comes the part where I pick my requests, and I shuffle between most popular and newest. The newest section is beneficial because it shows me requests that haven't been considered yet or might get buried underneath all the popular requests. However, shifting by most popular helps me gauge which requests people want to see the most. But when I know a request will work for the video is if it is inherently funny, it is a reference I get, or it's something I can work with. Sometimes I see a request and I'm like, I can tie that in with another request I found, or my brain just runs with the idea and improvises something that wasn't even in there. So really it's just whatever I think is interesting, might work with the video, helps with the pacing. There's no like factual, definitive way to know if I'm gonna like a request. It's just if I happen to see it and I think it's funny and it might work well with the video, I screenshot it and I save it into a folder, which brings me into organizing the requests. I used to just screenshot these and put them on my desktop and then just read them one at a time from there. However, I've gotten a lot more organized since then. On my desktop, I now have a saying a lot of things folder based on which character I'm going to do. I open that folder and it'll show me the characters that I'm going to do, and I put the corresponding requests into these folders. It's also very beneficial to do this because when you outsource VA help, it gets all the requests that you need from them in one convenient place, so you can send all of them in bulk without forgetting one. And if you gather your requests and find that you're going to need more voice help with it, you gather the requests, send it off to the voice actors once you find them through like casting call or social media, and then you patiently wait for them to send their lines back in. You can do some work in the meantime, or you can wait for them to send in their lines. It's your call. But from here, we move on to the best part, and that is
Part 3... voicing it!
And now comes the fun part where you get to actually record the Saying a Lot of Things video. In case you're curious about my specs, this is a Neumann TLM 103 hooked up into an SSL2 audio interface. It's a bit pricey, but that's thanks to all the voiceover money I've made over the past couple of years. So when I record, I typically record within my video editing software. You can use Audacity and then import the audio into your program, but I just do this for convenience sake. I typically like to record my requests in bulk with some periods here and there to drink some water and reset my voice, but generally what you do at this stage is you just act. So honestly, I don't think I've ever shown people me voice acting before, so this is a first for both you and me. So I hope you enjoy. I'm gonna warm up first, and then I'm actually gonna record. So here's a brief glimpse at the warm-ups that I do. Lesser leather never weathered lesser wetter weather. Lesser leather never weathered lesser wetter weather. Lesser leather never weathered lesser wetter weather. A big black bug bit a big black bear, and the big black bear bled blue black blood. A big black bug bit a big black bear, and the big black bear bled blue black blood. She stood on the balcony inexplicably mimicking him hiccuping and amicably welcoming him home. Those crazy contraptions can't create the kind of classic catastrophe one can cause by cleverly concealing a calamitous crater. And now, the actual recording. Okay. Sans a skeleton. Sans a skeleton. I'm Sans. I am Sans. I'm Sans a skeleton. Hello. Hi. Nice to meet you. Hey, look, buddy. I'm a royal god. That means I solve problems. Not problems like what is beauty, because that would fall within the purview of your conundrums of philosophy. People say I can't do what I love without college. I don't need a degree to be a clothing hanger. People say I can't do what I love without college. I don't need a degree to be a clothing hanger. Stay away from papyrus, you little weed. Stay away from papyrus, you little weed.
Oh, yeah? What are you gonna do about it, smiley trash bag? Oh, yeah? What are you gonna do about it, smiley trash bag?
That's gonna be fun to look back on.
And when you do papyrus, you have to turn things down because you get very loud very fast. Nope! I'm not falling for it, Sans! Nope! Nuh-uh! No way! You're not roping me into your punchline, Sans! Wait, it's not what you think. This is a big misunderstanding. You've got to believe me. Listen, I am telling you. You better listen to me, Sans!
I almost forgot. I need to show you me screaming.
Part 4, how do I put this thing together?
So you got all your puzzle pieces together, you got your voiceover, you got your voice actors' lines, and now it's time to put it all together in your editing software. Now, if you're not new to editing, you can always outsource editing help to an editor, but they can tend to get a little pricey. For me, I know how to edit videos, so I tend to edit them myself. However, if you're unsure what video editing software to go with, it can feel very daunting because these things can be pricey, and some even charge a subscription. How do you know which one to even start with? The best way you can figure out what editing software is good for you is to explore on the internet, hear other people's opinions, and see what they have to say. Which is why I'm going to give you some perspective on the editing softwares I've used. The big 4 editing softwares are Adobe Premiere, Vegas Pro, Final Cut, and DaVinci Resolve. I have no experience with DaVinci Resolve. I have a minuscule amount of experience with Vegas Pro, but I do have experience with the other 2. Adobe Premiere isn't just the editing software, you get the entire Adobe suite, which also means you get Adobe Audition and Photoshop completely free with the bundle. However, it's also very pricey and you have to charge a subscription to be able to keep this entire suite. It's very friendly with its own set of tutorials to get you going, and a lot of people tend to use it. A lot of high-end people tend to use it. But I am more experienced in Final Cut Pro, which is an Apple-only editing software. It's awesome because 1, it saves with every click. Every single time you do something in the software, it saves it. I've worked with Premiere Pro, I didn't save my project, it crashed on me, and I lost so much progress because I forgot to save, which is why Final Cut is such a godsend. And speaking of crashes, number 2, it barely crashes. I have run 4K video at 60 frames per second, and I've never had to experience a crash because the Apple computers run with an M1 chip, and that thing is goated as far as I know. Do you want to know my deep, dark secret? You want to know what I've edited this entire channel on? I've edited on a touchpad for 5 years. So now let's take a look at what a saying a lot of things video looks like in my editing software. This is what it looks like. Really, this screenshot doesn't do enough justice as to how high and low the actual timeline goes. The video portion is the easiest in my opinion. I just put the suggestion, put a background image with a blur so that it looks kind of stylish, and maybe add some visual flair to the suggestion or just anywhere if I feel it's needed. Where my real passion is down below in the audio section. So there is a lot of cutting, there is a lot of small bits tied together, and it looks very intimidating and it looks very tedious, and that's because it kind of is. It kind of is very tedious, but when it comes to editing, this can be one of the most laborious processes in the entire content creation, process. But at the same time, it can be one of the most fun and rewarding because seeing everything being put into place and coming to life, it can be genuinely awesome to see. So while I am putting together all of the audio, all of the video, I am also mixing my audio. The really cool thing about Final Cut Pro is that it comes with Logic plugins, so I can slap them on and make it sound decently better, but of course I gotta tweak some aspects of it to make it sound even better than that. When I mix my voice, I put on a channel EQ, compressor, and de-esser. This makes my voice sound a lot more present, it makes it sound a bit louder, and it sounds a lot better overall, on top of the typical gain staging you usually have to do. And when it comes to mixing other voice actors with their own setups, their own microphones, their own sound environments, you have to mix them differently than you mix your own voice, because it's going to sound different when you try to apply the same plugins onto their audio. So for Shiren, I've mixed them differently. For Cello, I've mixed them differently. Same thing with Destiny. All of them are mixed slightly differently from one another. I do try to keep track of how expressive one request is or how chill another one is, so I can kind of distribute the pacing in a nice, even way. But overall, I don't think there's a real rhyme or reason why I put requests in certain places, other than just if it's way up here, I need to bring it down here so I can even things out. If it's down here, maybe get something a bit more excitable, and just keep going from there and see what fits. And if I have any suggestions left over, I'll make a bonus video. Not only is it great as you as the audience because you get an extra video, but the suggestee doesn't get forgotten, and I get to put them in a separate video. Because if I tried making another section with some of these requests, sometimes the section would be too short or maybe a bit too awkward, and I don't want that. I want every request I get to be used. And then once you have done the laborious process of putting it all together, you can finally render it and you can upload it. Now, this is very important. Just because you render a video does not mean it's going to function exactly as it is in the editing software. You need to always make sure that the rendered video comes out fine. It comes out the way you intended it to, because sometimes things can mess up in the rendering process. So always double check your rendered video before you upload it to YouTube. I've had this issue happen multiple times, and going over it an extra time before uploading it would have saved me a lot of hassle. And then once you set their premiere, you just wait for it to come out and you have a good time with your audience. And that is how you make a saying a lot of things from my perspective. If you want to make your own saying a lot of things, like I said before, go ahead. I'm not the Fine Bros. I'm not going to copyright strike the format. You're good. I encourage you to make your own saying a lot of things video. So I hope you enjoyed this window into my creative process. I hope this was enjoyable for you. I hope I wasn't too boring with all of this and it didn't lull you to sleep or anything. But yeah, hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one in about a year.